All right. You
Yeah.
ready? I'm ready. I'll
Yeah.
let,
Looks like a good number of people already.
yeah. All right. So we're just going to get started. So first of all, thank you all for joining. We're excited to share some big news, which is all about scroll sites for Confluence. This will be the next generation of Scroll Viewport, which I imagine many of you are already using today. So my name is Shannon Meehan. I am leading product marketing at K15T, and I'm joined today by Laura, who's the
Hey.
product manager of Scroll Viewport. I'm sure many of you already know her. And I wanted to point out that we have some other members of the Scroll Sites team on the call today. They have some deeper technical knowledge on Scroll Sites and also what's to come. So hopefully between this group, we're able to get a lot of your questions answered. So if you see Mickey or Fabian in the chat, they're both there to support. And yeah, some housekeeping, I guess. We will have plenty of time for Q&A and discussion at the end. We're really trying to keep the presentation portion of this very, very brief. But if you have questions that come up along the way, please just pop those in the chat. And as I said, we'll keep track of them as we go. And if Fabian or Mickey can answer those straight away, we'll try to do so. We are also recording this session, you may have already noticed. So if you want to revisit any of these topics or you need to share this with your team, we will make this available as soon as possible after the webinar. And in terms of an agenda for today, so as I said, we'll try to keep this very brief, but here's what we'll get into. So we'll introduce Scroll Sites, along with a peek at the new features that will be coming and some of the new themes that we'll be introducing, and a timeline for the release. And in the end, we will also share some information about the private beta that we're running and what that actually means for you. So with that, I would also like to do a quick introduction or a reminder of who we are. So if you don't know who our team is already, we are K15T. We are the creators of Scroll Viewport and a number of other apps for both Confluence and Jira. And at K15T, our goal is to help you share your knowledge everywhere it's needed. So Scroll Viewport is just one of the many apps that we offer that enable you to share the information and the knowledge that you create in either Confluence or in Jira and share that with those who need it most. This could be as documents like PDFs or Word. It could be across Jira instances. And in many of your cases, I would assume this is as an online help center or knowledge base with Scroll Viewport. And Scroll Viewport, it's one of our most visible, one of our most beloved apps at K15T. It's actually been around for over a decade now. It's been helping teams turn their Confluence content into beautifully branded help centers and knowledge bases. And I mean, we know it's been an essential tool for thousands of customers, and we really want to also celebrate that. So we've seen customers create some really great online experiences. I know some of you are in this call today, but for example, we have Amplify's Documentation Center, Easy Agile's Help Center, our friends over at Lively Apps, their Help Center. Even Atlassian was actually one of our very first customers. They continue to share parts of their documentation with the help of Scroll Viewport. And of course, we ourselves rely on it. Who would we be if we didn't also publish our own help center with Scroll Viewport? And all of that to say that we know that Scroll Viewport is already a really great app. So why are we taking another step? Why are we taking this next step with Scroll Sites? And we want to be really clear that the original intention of Scroll Viewport still stands. So teams should have a collaborative base for creating content in Confluence and then have the flexibility to share that online as a help center. But over the years, we know that the needs of various teams have grown beyond that. And also, so has our vision for just what's possible. So we went back to the drawing board, we reworked the product from the ground up, and that's why we're excited to introduce Scroll Sites for Confluence. And this isn't just a name change. On cloud, this actually represents a major step forward with the app. We aim to provide a more flexible, more powerful way to publish not just help centers, but actually high performance websites of all kinds. And Scroll Sites, it's a completely fresh start. We really built it to remove some of the limitations that we had with Scroll Viewport, and we want to introduce a number of new capabilities, offer more flexibility for users like you, especially when it comes to customization and to theming. So with Scroll Sites, you'll be able to deliver your Confluence content as branded, high-performance websites in minutes. But what does that mean exactly? So I would love to introduce my co-host today, Laura, who will actually tell you about some of the new features that we will be bringing to the app. It's all yours, Laura.
Yeah, so hopefully you see the same thing that Shannon just shared. If you want to confirm, Shannon.
Yes,
Good.
all good.
Probably the most pressing question for most of you today, especially if you're a Viewport user and you've been using the app, see many names here. Some of you have been using the app since the beginning for 5 years now. So obviously you might be asking, what's new? Why all of the fuss? Why have we reworked the product from the ground up? What have we what is the plan? So briefly speaking, there are lots of new things, but we'll be focusing on three things for now, which are, as we think, the most important new features. And the first one we'll start with is actually something that you've been requesting since we've launched Scroll Viewport on cloud. We call these live updates. Many of you have requested these in other formats like automated updates. Basically, what you can do now with Scroll Sites is choose between instant updates to your site or maintaining the manual publishing workflow that you're used to now. As I said, this has been a long-standing feature request for many of you, understandably. What it means is that Scroll Sites now will be able to automatically reflect the changes that you make in Confluence without having to click an extra button, as you have to do now. It's really important to note, this is just an option. So what you do now with this extra click, you can still keep that if you want to, but if you want the extra flexibility, you can then enable live updates.
Hold on one moment,
Yeah.
Laura. We have someone who has shared that they can't hear us.
Oh, really? Me specifically? Or
Can someone confirm? Okay. Sorry about that. Just needed to check. So Silvana, I will reach out to you. But thank you.
so
Yes,
everything
you're
good
good,
for you
Laura. You
guys?
can continue.
Okay.
Apologies.
So everything was audible so far? Yeah? Okay,
Yes, looks like
good.
it.
Perfect. Why does it matter, live updates? So obviously it can save you a lot of time because you don't have to do that extra click, it reduces effort. It ensures that everything is always up to date. So we know a lot of you just use Viewport as a mirror of your Confluence. You just want people to access the Viewport view for many reasons. It looks nicer and so on. So with live updates, it will just automatically always reflect what you have in Confluence. Especially when you just need to make small changes like typos. So what will this look like? So we present the first peek into Scroll Sites. You're the first people to ever see Scroll Sites, actually. So this is what it looks like. This is Confluence. Imagine you create a new page in Confluence here. I'm just quickly creating it. Just giving it a title and then clicking publish. And let's see what it looks like in Viewport. So this is the Viewport view. As you can see, there's an update running with percentage and done. So now you can see there's a timeline here. You don't actually have to open the Viewport view as we did here. It just runs in the background. But if you do, you have a list of updates running in the background, and you can see what has been published. So here, for example, we can see just now we've published that new page we created 4 minutes ago. We published some other pages. So that gives you a really good also audit log to see what has happened while you were away making the changes in Confluence. So pretty simple, but very powerful. That's live updates. I'm sure you might have questions about it. Just post them. We'll get to answer them in a minute. The next great update is multiple themes. And this is also something we're really, really excited about. So you're no longer limited to Help Center theme. Scroll Sites will support a range of other site types. Of course, you'll still be able to use That's the top requirements. But then also introducing more themes will mean more flexibility for you. And we're happy to preview a couple of these themes, starting with one of them. And just a note, so this is also how it looks like in Viewport. So when you create a new site, as you do now, what you do is you, as a first step, select the theme that you want to choose. So the Help Center theme will be there, and then a range of other themes. The key difference here is, and this is really important to point out, the Help Center theme will still be there. It's a theme developed by us. What's new now is there will be more themes, and these themes might not necessarily be developed by us. We'll actually present to you two new themes, and these were developed by some partners. It also means these new themes at the beginning and the beta version will be free, just like the Help Center theme, but in the future, they will be paid themes. Let's start with the first one. The first one is in what we call, or what our partner calls, on the job assist theme. This was created by our friends at Helpautomaten, a German agency who's had many years of experience working with lots of hardware customers, hardware companies that create things with actual factory. So the on-the-job assist theme delivers fast, easy to digest content for teams that operate in the field or perform a job on the go. So it's really optimized for mobile access first, step-by-step guidance, video, image-based content, and ensures that users get to the right information wherever they need, really, and in a really quick way. So what does that look like? So this theme will help you create, as I said, step-by-step instructions, troubleshooting guides, best practice articles directly to users. So for example, if there are technicians in the field, assembly workers, or maintenance teams. So anyone who doesn't really sit at a desktop computer, really. So here you can see a small sneak peek of what the theme would look like. So for example, checklists are really important. You might need to go through step-by-step instructions and then check off the steps that you've taken to actually maintain a machine, for example. And then also to make access even easier, the theme creates QR codes automatically for you. You can then print them out and place them where they're needed most. So imagine a machine needs to be maintained every few months. That's not something you necessarily remember as a factory worker. So having that QR code that you can scan with your phone and then the instructions show up, that's super handy. You have the right information exactly when you need it. No manual search is needed. So yeah, so of course, exactly as the Help Center theme, you can brand this theme as well. You can adjust the colors, logos, the overall design to match your company's branding. So yeah, so this is one of the first ready-to-use themes. It's as useful and as easy to use, no coding knowledge required, just like the Help Center theme. Then let's move to the second theme. The second theme was developed by our friends at Gorilla Apps. It's a blog theme. So as the name says, it's a theme that will help you publish engaging, structured content for any audience. So whether you're sharing product updates, release notes, expert insights, this theme, it's actually 2-in-1. There are 2 variations. We'll get to that in a moment. They offer optimized layouts for readability, discoverability, and just in general, a great user experience. The 2 variants that I was just talking about is one block for sharing knowledge and the other for sharing product updates. So the knowledge block theme could look like this. So it's ideal for technical guides, thought leadership, industry insights. You can organize your content really easily into categories for topic-based browsing. It encourages also long-term discoverability. So if you have evergreen content that you just always want to have there for people to discover when they type into something into Google, it's just in general really easy to share any knowledge with this block theme. Also, it prioritizes clean, distraction-free reading experience with structured layout. We'll also have this little detail, how many minutes it will take to read this block. This is automatically calculated. So they're just like really nice features that you would just expect from a block. Automatically they're out of the box without any web development. This is the other variant. This is the product block theme. This is especially designed for keeping users up to date with what's new in your product. So it has specialized layouts for release notes, roadmaps, feature announcements. You could offer your users things like a timeline or different views for structured product storytelling. I'm sure you might have already ideas for your own product here. And then, so each theme offers a unique way to explore the content. So here, whether it's through topic-based browsing for knowledge or a more timeline-based organization for product updates, both are possible. And we're very excited to announce that you'll be able to test these themes already in the beta version of Scroll Sites, so you can get creative with how you share your knowledge with your users. So these were the themes. More to come in the future. So this is really, really just the start. And then the third update we want to share with you is publishing blocks. So in addition to standard Confluence pages or Confluence spaces that you were able to publish and scroll documents, now we have a third type of content source, which is Confluence blocks. What it looks like is when you create a new site, you select a theme, you give it a name, and so on. And then you actually add the content that you want to publish in your site. And now you cannot just choose between a normal space, so normal pages in your space, and scroll documents as you did now. You can also choose to publish only the blog posts in your Confluence space, something that wasn't possible before. So this offers your team an additional option for sharing updates, knowledge, and insights more effectively, and also manage these more effectively in Confluence. So yeah, this is the third update, and then a range of other things we've also shipped that you might also be very excited about, which is first, domain flexibility. So you can assign the same domain to multiple sites now. You just have to differentiate them with the site path. So for example, if I wanted to say help.k15t.com, I want to assign it to multiple sites, then I just need to differentiate it by saying slash and then site1/site2. Then also the site structure, you can now choose between a flat and hierarchical URLs. So hierarchical URLs, you might know them from typical websites. They reflect the structure or the position of the page in the page hierarchy. So if page 1 is nested under if page 2 is nested under page 1, now the URL reflect that structure to say page 1/page 2. Before that, it was just a flat structure. Again, this is just an option. You don't have to do this, but for greater flexibility, you can now. And then lots of other quality of life improvements that are already available in the beta. Design improvements, a modern UI, you have already seen it. Broken link detection, so if there's a 404 link somewhere in your content, we'll point that out. And many, many more things. Then, not in the beta right now, but on the horizon for what's next is a dashboard and out-of-the-box analytics. So when you come to Viewport, the first thing you will see at some point is just an overview of all of the things that are going really well in your site and also the things that might be problematic that you should have a look at. So how many views did your page get in the last 24 hours? How long did these users spend on your site? Are there any site issues, any broken links, and so on? This will all be available from the dashboard very soon. And then also, what's on the horizon? And I will hand that to Shannon to say, what does that all mean for you? And what should you do next?
Great. I'm back. So yeah, I'm actually already excited to tell you about this, but Alexander, I think you already teased it in the chat. So we have big plans for what will be possible with scroll sites, starting with custom themes. So as you may have already made the jump, we showed you those ready-to-use themes that will be available to purchase with scroll sites. But that, of course, opens up another aspect of scroll sites that we're working to support, which is, yes, custom themes. We're very excited about that. This will enable you to build a unique, fully customized site that looks and feels like an extension of your brand. If you were ever a Scroll Viewport user on server or data center, there was a level of flexibility that you got used to. And then if you moved to cloud, obviously that changed. So we're working to make this a lot more flexible on cloud as well. And actually, since the end of last year, we've really put this to the test. So if you go to k15t.com right now, everything you see there is built with scroll sites. That includes things like our product pages for both the scroll apps and for Backbone. You'll see things like our Trust Center or our partner pages, our careers pages. Everything is built with scroll sites. And we also relaunched our entire Confluence collaboration hub. So this is our home for all of our Confluence best practices. If you're not familiar with it, definitely check that out. And we have a lot of learning content that we share there. So we're able to optimize it for the different guides that we have, for the tutorials and the video content that we share on a regular basis. So very exciting. I believe Fabian also made it clear, though, that this aspect of the product, it will require some level of technical or web development knowledge, but that is something you'll be able to test and experience when Scroll Sites is launched. And so, yeah, what does that future actually look like? So right now, we're in a phase where we're sort of focusing on this private beta. I assume that everybody here has already heard about that in some way. I really encourage you to sign up. This is our way of giving you early access to the app, and of course, provide us with some feedback. Um, that said, I would like to be very clear that we will be including beta testers in waves, and not every feature will be available right away, which is why we want to make sure that we are adding you and your team at a time that's relevant. So for example, things like authentication are not quite there yet. So if this is a feature that's important to you, if you're going to have a protected site, it makes sense to add you only when that feature is going to be available to test. So what would be great is when you sign up, you will receive a welcome email. And in that welcome email, there's a survey. Please fill that out, share that information with us so that we can understand how you're using Scroll Viewport today, what you intend to build with scroll sites. This will just give us a much better idea of when it makes sense to add you to the beta. And I've already seen lots of feedback come back through that survey, so thank you. Please continue to share it. And the next phase, what we're working toward at the moment, is the official launch or general availability of scroll sites. And what this actually means is you will see that the Scroll Viewport listing on the Atlassian Marketplace that will transition to scroll sites. If you're an existing user of Scroll Viewport on cloud, there will be a period where you can have both apps enabled so that you can do your transition. Then later this year, more toward Q4, we're working toward feature maturity, at the very least feature parity that scroll sites meets or ideally surpasses Viewport in capabilities. And then what we're targeting for the beginning of next year is that we begin the Scroll Viewport phase out. So it's time to sort of complete that transition. But by this point, you will have had plenty of information along the way. It's also, of course, our job to enable you during this transition, ensure that you have everything that you need to have everything that you had in Scroll Viewport, but ideally also more. That's our end goal in all of this. But what can you do right now? Obviously, we are just starting April. What do you actually have to do? I want to be very clear, there's actually no immediate action required from you right now. You can keep using Scroll Viewport as normal. We are continuing to, of course, support the app. But a few things you could do if this is something that you're very, very interested in. First of all, join that beta. really encouraging you to sign up. It's that great first step. As I said, we will be adding folks in waves to actually sort of test out that product, give you that time to understand what's coming, make your transition a bit smoother. And then, of course, think about your transition. So if you can identify any of the, especially customizations that you have in your site right now, how your workflows work today, that you just want to keep in mind, how will that actually reflect in the new version of the product? That might need some adjusting. So already kind of look at how your sites are set up today. And the last one is, this is more for me actually, keep you all informed. So we're here to, of course, provide guidance, provide resources, support along the way. So we are going to be sending out emails at least once a month. We're trying to also use Scroll Viewport in the app to communicate important changes that are coming. So just keep an eye out for that. And if you're on the beta list, of course, you're going to be getting, at the very least, an email once a month, let you know where you're at. And yeah, that's essentially the overview of all the content that we have for you today. And I know there were lots and lots of questions, but wanted to just remind you, if you haven't already, we have the Scroll Sites page that is up right now. That's where you can actually sign up for the beta. You can either scan this QR code or just go to k15t.com/sites, and it will take you to that page. And with that, I think it is time for questions and discussions, and I need to play catch up in the app to see where we are.
Yeah. I can also already, so yeah, I think our colleagues did a great job of answering a lot of the questions already. There was one that I know wasn't answered by my colleagues, so I'll just get to it because it was asked several times. It was the pricing. So the pricing isn't set in stone yet for all of the apps, and it will depend on the actual creator of the theme. Sorry, did I say apps? I meant themes if I did that. So the pricing of the theme. It will be dependent on the creator of the theme. But for one of the themes, what was in discussion was $20. So yeah, just as an orientative figure, I guess. But yeah, for other themes, it might be more. For other themes, it might be way less. That really depends. But in the beta version, it will be for free first, just for you to test it out. And in any case, all themes will be testable for free with some limitations even after the official launch. So you can always make sure you test a theme first before you actually decide if you want to pay for it. Yeah, that was so far one of the questions that was asked and not answered. I don't know, Shanna, if you spotted other questions that weren't answered. Yeah, I have one here with cards. So Confluence Premium has a feature called Confluence Cards. This will not be supported right now in Scroll Sites. What we're aiming to do is we aim to match the macros that we support already in Scroll Viewport to ensure smooth migration. So we're focusing on that first, and then we'll expand it to other macros and additive features. That goes for third-party macros as well. So our priority first is supporting what is supported now.
I see a couple comments or questions from Michael. So if you've already signed up for the beta, don't worry, we've got you. You don't need to sign up again. If you do, you'll just essentially go through the same experience. But don't worry, we've got your email if you're already there. And then a question again about pricing. Will the Scroll Sites app cost the same as Scroll Viewport?
Yeah, so we don't anticipate any changes there. So unless there's a price increase in Scroll Viewport, there wouldn't be one now in Scroll Sites. So yeah, exactly. And also later on, that's maybe also important. So we'll share more information about the migration plan once we're there. It's still too early. It's also not something that you need to worry about now. But as a Scroll Viewport customer, you will be also a Scroll Sites customer when we launch. So you don't need to purchase that additionally. So if you already pay for the subscription, you just continue it. You'll just see Scroll Sites eventually pop up in your Confluence. Yeah, so it should be pretty smooth for you. No additional procurement process if you're fearing that.
There's a good one from Lucia, which is, what are the best practices for managing a successful transition?
Yeah. So as I said, like we'll share more details around that also because we need to finalize quite a few things. But the best practice, so what we are aiming to do is we want to offer full feature parity. That's actually our number one goal at the moment. So everything that you have now will be supported in Scroll sites. So I think I've seen also questions around like, will my links break or any of that? We will ensure that that doesn't happen. So at the moment, you can just continue making use of any Scroll Viewport features because we will 100% also support them in Scroll sites. So yeah, so there's really nothing you need to do now to prepare for that.
And then there's sort of, I guess, a follow-up or a clarification from Juliana, which is so if we use a beta theme, it's free during the beta, and then we will start to be charged after. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, or set in a different way, you'll maybe find a watermark all of a sudden in your created site. You'll not be charged right away. It probably just will be prompted to pay, and if you don't pay, you'll see a watermark or something. But yeah, the beta is essentially there also to allow you to test, give us feedback, so we can improve for the official launch.
Next one from Steve. Hi, Steve. How will current changes be impacted? What about if you are using custom JavaScript?
Yeah, so again, we don't anticipate at the moment that we'll change anything about so we'll try to, so just with custom code changes in general, with CSS specifically, we always recommend that you use our design tokens, and we'll continue to support these in Scroll sites. So if you're using our design token system, you don't necessarily have to worry. If you're using CSS more freely or JavaScript, there might be changes. I cannot tell you at the moment what these will be, because every custom code is different and we cannot really anticipate what you've done. However, the transition phase will give you the opportunity to test that out. So you know, you won't be switched automatically to Scroll sites and then your site is broken. You'll have a period where you can test these things. So even if you have to make adjustments, you'll have, you know, a moment to do them. So yeah, there's no reason to worry at the moment, but with any custom code changes, at any time, these could always break. So it's a little bit of a gray area there. Yeah.
Yep. And then this one was already answered by Fabian, but I think it's worth pointing out is, do we have any changes planned for authentication? Obviously, we plan for feature parity. If there are further improvements, especially if there's something specific that you are looking for in terms of improvements, I think worth sharing with us.
Yeah.
Then another one from Lucia. About the built-in analytics, can we track visitors for each page? If so, GDPR and cookie settings are taken into account. How so?
Yeah. So this is actually, I hope that was also clear. This is like a future thing. These are all, we are at the concept stage. These are just designs at the moment. This isn't implemented. So we haven't really gone through like, yeah, looking at the technical implementation. So this is all open, but I think I'm getting that you would like this to be GDPR friendly and so on. So we could just take that back as feedback and then see if we can actually do that. But at the moment, it's not clear at all how we're going to implement them. We just want to have a dashboard for you to just see everything that's going on in your site.
The next one from Silvana. Will older Confluence pages that are still on the old editor be negatively affected, or are they also compatible in this transition?
Yeah.
Should we change all our Confluence pages created on the old editor to the new editor?
You actually should already, yes. So that's actually one of the official recommendations that we also make in several parts of our documentation. So if you didn't know yet, officially, we only guarantee support with pages of the new editor. If legacy pages work, that's more of a coincidence. But already now we suggest that you move away. Confluence has a bulk switch where you can just switch for in general for all pages in your space. We highly recommend doing that already. Yeah.
Okay, then working backwards, another question from Michael. This means that we do not have to install the new app, that the old one will get updated after EOL.
Yes, exactly.
Great. Then there was actually a good one that I wanted to highlight, which is around AI search. So are there any plans on behalf of search and AI?
Yeah, we have plans, not for the coming months though. So as we said, like we really wanted to prioritize feature parity first and making sure, so we have, obviously you've seen we have lots of new features, but also now for the coming months, our priority is to make sure that all of the existing features work so you can migrate over. So that means we had to deprioritize shipping new features. But having said that, on our AI roadmap are things like a chat widget. So at the moment, we just enhance our search, but we think it would be really practical to also have some sort of chatbot, which is based on AI. Maybe extending support to other large language models could also be an option, or any other ideas. So if you want, just reach out to us anytime in support or at help@k15t.com. If you have feature requests in the AI space, let us know.
Yeah, and I'm working a bit backwards. There's a great one from Silvana, kind of in the same topic. So will there be several search options in the content, for example, match whole text or match each word? If I search after test text, I want to have also the
Yeah,
possibility to find all pages. I think you know where this is
yeah.
possible.
We know, same as live updates was highly requested. We know that search improvements to the search logic is a highly requested feature. So for example, supporting partial searches or supporting and searches. At the moment, it's just an or search that we support. These are all things that we have well documented as feature requests. We would love to get to them. Again, in the coming months, we're not prioritizing them. So this will not be something that you will see in scroll sites immediately, but hopefully in the future.
Then question about security. So will there be any new security options for being able to lock down content to specific users?
Not at the moment, so we'll focusing on shipping the token authentication and the SAML authentication option that you know today. That's actually something that we're working on next. So maybe just also interesting for you. So the beta at the moment will gradually open up access. It does not include any ways to protect your site. So we will invite the first beta customers that we'll invite are people that we know will want to have public sites, because at the moment it's just not possible to do. But yeah, we'll work on shipping the two options that you're familiar with. No other options planned at the moment. I know there have been feature requests for other options, but these aren't on our immediate roadmap at the moment.
Great, another one from Silvana. If there is a bulk possibility to change all legacy pages in the new editor, please. Oh, we can share that afterward.
Yeah.
For sites that currently use token verification, after the transition, do those sites no longer have those verifications?
I mean, it's hard to answer this one at the moment because we haven't really in detail figured out what the migration path will be like. But so if your fear is that your content will be exposed, that will definitely not be the case. So we'll make sure that whatever the transition is from Scroll Viewport to Scroll Sites, you'll have a way to protect your content all through the journey. So you don't have to worry about that. I assume that's the question here.
Cool. Then the next one. So will we be extending the SAML support? Current implementation is a bit basic.
Yeah, not at the moment. So if you have specific requests around that, maybe you have shared them already. So Vanna, I know you've been in our support a few times. So I don't know, maybe you have in mind that we support other protocols, not sure. But let us know. At the moment, it's not planned. It will just be SAML support and token.
There were some comments about improvements to article feedback that Fiverr
Yeah,
would
I
talk
saw
about.
them too,
Yeah.
Hyper Talk. Okay, interesting. It would be really interesting if you would like to share a little bit more about what the limitations with HyperTalk are at the moment. So, because we could extend the services that we support, the third-party services that we support, but if the inherent problem that you see is that it is a third-party service, then obviously that would be nice to know. At the moment, we don't have any plans to ship anything along those lines. Having said that, obviously with the custom theme option, everything is possible now. If you do have the resources, you could potentially also build something yourself. But at the moment, HyperTalk is the only really officially supported service. And then if you have any other third-party service that you would like to use, you can always inject it via the JavaScript editor. Again, depends on your requirements, but nothing new will be added in that regard to scroll sites in this first phase.
Yeah, I'm just working all the way back because I know there were some that Fabian and Mickey were sort of catching on the fly, but just for you folks who are more just watching, will labels and Confluence still be honored with the live updates? Yes, those will be honored in scroll sites using live updates. Can we enable live updates to publish a simple change and then turn it back off and go back to regular manual publishing workflow? If I understood that correctly, the answer is yes. So when I switch on live updates, can I tell some Confluence pages that they will not be uploaded automatically? Was that answered already? I don't believe so. Maybe I missed that.
Where is that exact? Can you repeat that? I don't think I understood. So when you set up manual updates, right? What was the question?
When I switch on live updates, can I still tell some Confluence pages that they will not be, I assume,
Ah,
updated automatically?
updated automatically. Yeah, there will be workarounds. Yes. So a little bit like today, when you click on update site, there are ways to not update everything. There are ways to keep some pages from not going live. Yeah, essentially.
Can we build our own custom themes? Yes, we went into that in the last section. This one. The live updates seemed fast. Are there performance improvements with scroll sites when publishing updates?
Yeah, I think that was already answered here somewhere. So it uses a completely different logic. So yes, it will not have the same problems that Viewport had. It's actually one of the reasons why we built scroll sites, because we couldn't really make it faster the way it was built, and also not really have any live updates. So what you'll see in scroll sites is just a completely new way to sync your changes to the static site.
I don't see any more. If I missed it, please repost your question and we can get into it. If you have any other new questions, we're still around. Feel free to keep using the chat.
Yeah, there's one here by Julia about inheritance. So if the DC capabilities for version inheritance will come to cloud eventually, this is actually something more for the scroll documents team. So if we were to work on this feature, this would be released within scroll documents. There have been many changes in the past months. You might want to reach out to the team. For example, when you compare versions, you can actually bring changes from one version to the other more easily now. And there might be other things planned. I'm not 100% sure what they're prioritizing at the moment. But yeah, this is definitely something that the team is aware of. It would definitely be handy.
And if it wasn't already stated very clearly, I know we have a lot of Scroll Documents users who are using Scroll Viewport as well. Obviously, we are working to make sure that everything that you have in Scroll Documents is also, compatible with Scroll Sites. I think that's important to point out. Some new question from Vanna. Do we plan to provide migration tools? And if so, what will be the scope of it?
yeah, we might plan to provide migration tools. The whole migration topic is still not too refined, so I prefer to not give you details, to not set up some expectations and then it's a different way. But we plan to do this as smooth as possible. So yeah, again, like one of the things that is super clear is you don't have to buy another app. When if you haven't Scroll Viewport installed and you're paying for it, Scroll Sites will just eventually come up for you. And then yeah, the plan is to have some sort of migration tool so you can easily recreate your sites, or say which sites should migrate over. But more details will follow in time. You don't have to worry, your sites will continue to run. So that's our number one priority. And we'll share updates around that when we have it. Yeah. I've also seen there's now feedback about why HivaTalk isn't the best option. So fully understand that. I think we can take that back to the team and see if there's some out of the box way we can do that. I think at the end of the day, it's always the question, where does the feedback land? Where is it collected? Is it collected in your Confluence? Is it collected in some other dashboard? I think that's the main question we need to think through, and the main complexity, and why we have for now opted for third-party services, because obviously with third-party services, they just store that data and gather it for you in their dashboards. But yeah, I think that's good to know.
Yes, Chris, there will be a recording of this session. I will share that out. My goal is latest by tomorrow that you'll be able to see the recording. Looks like we have a bit of confusion. I just want to make sure that we clear that up. So there was something that Fabian said was not possible. I guess, Laura, we said it would be possible. Just want to clear up that confusion for Moritz. Is this,
Do we know what the topic was?
was it, Moritz, maybe you can clarify for us, was this about the cards, the premium cards? If you just want to add that in, that would be great. We can clear that up.
In the meantime, the question about the recording, yes, if you've signed up for the webinar, you'll get a recording of this.
Oh, that's actually an important one from Jeannie. Are there any long-term plans to provide improved integration with ticketing platforms like ServiceNow or Freshdesk?
Sorry, I lost that. To plan improved integration. So it would be nice to, so we don't integrate with ServiceNow at the moment. I mean, not officially, you can always inject it via JavaScript, but we do with Freshdesk. It would be interesting to know what the improvements are that you're looking for. Then we can actually tackle them. So is it, for example, the login or, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you, Moritz, for clarifying that.
Okay, yeah. So I think what Fabian probably answered is there's no out of the box option. So you cannot just select, okay, this and this, ignore this, but there are workarounds as they are now. So for example, if you restrict a page, it will not get published. If you leave it in draft mode, it will not get published. These are workarounds because they have downsides. Like, for example, they will not get published at all. And not just if you restrict it, for example. But actually, I can do that already. I can share the page with you of how to do this in Viewport, because most of them, with a grain of salt, most of them will probably also work in Scroll Sites. So I've just shared it, hopefully with everyone.
No, shared it
I shared it
with me.
everyone. Here, now it is. This is how you can now control what's updated or not in Viewport with manual updates. So probably a lot of these workarounds will be also possible to use in Scroll Sites. Yeah. And then also there's some exciting changes coming in Scroll Documents. I don't think these were announced yet, but stay tuned, because that will also help you control what goes live and what doesn't.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil it. I believe that's coming out tomorrow or in the next couple days. Well, if are no other specific questions, I would love to pose a question to the group. Is anybody going to be in Anaheim next week? Because that's Atlassian's big conference for the year. We will be on site. If you're around, definitely come say hi. We will have one of the premier sponsor booths. Come by, hang out with the team. We can show you very specifically what's going on in the product, answer any of your questions. And yeah, if not, then I would say we're at a good point that we could wrap up. Um, and I will actually just throw this slide up once again. If you haven't already, head to this landing page. Go ahead and sign up for the beta. You can also learn more about what's there. And yeah, I want to say thank you so much for your time and for having such an active chat. We always appreciate that. Please keep grilling us with questions over the next few weeks. And we're excited to show you more. This is just the beginning. So if you have anything else that comes to mind, just reach out. We're always here. And with that, I will say have a nice afternoon or morning or wherever you are. And we will be in touch.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.